Hi friends, my name is Chinmay and I am back again today with a very interesting theory in psychology called as the extreme male brain. So what is this theory basically? The extreme male brain theory basically says that people who have autism or Asperger's syndrome, they tend to view the world through a very male lens and they take interest in more which are stereotypically male topics, so they take interest more in such topics like how the machines work or how the weather patterns operate, and they may have trouble with tasks that women are supposedly better at, such as grasping social cues or empathy or understanding others emotions. So basically it says that the people who are born with autism, they can be both female and male, but they tend to have a more male brain. That is, they are good at tasks which basically stereotypically men are good at, but not the tasks that women are good at. So this theory has garnered a lot of support, but also a lot of criticism from the researchers who study autism. So basically, it is based on the idea that men and women are different in the fundamental ways and that the differences lie along a continuum. Subscribers to the theory assign the term empathy to the female end of the continuum, referring to constellation of social skills such as the ability to intuit others' emotional states. And at the male end is the tendency to systemize or to recognize patterns and to understand natural and technical systems like the weather or the computer. So the theory broadly proposes that autistic people, whatever their gender is, but they tend to be at the systemizing end of the continuum. That is, they have a very extreme male brain. So in the mid 1990s, there was a British researcher, Simon Baron Cohen, who incorporated tests of social intelligence and pattern recognition into his autism studies. In the general population, these tests show very basic differences. Women tend to perform well on the tests of social intelligence, while men tend to excel at following rules and recognizing patterns. So Baron Cohen found that autistic people generally have trouble with the former, but they do very well with following rules and recognizing patterns. In 2002, he proposed the extreme male brain theory of autism to account for these findings. So his theory has lot of evidence to back it, you know, because his team analyzed responses to some questionnaires that they prepared from 36,000 autistic people. So the results, they definitely suggest that autistic men and women both tend more towards systemizing or more towards tasks which are more dominated by males, and there has been a lot of study to understand where this tendency may originate. Some people with autism, they may have been exposed to very elevated levels of sex steroid hormones like testosterone, in their very like before their birth. Excess testosterone, it may have changed the structure of the developing brain in ways that affect thinking patterns. But studies from other lab questions link but studies from other labs, they actually question challenge the link between excess testosterone and autism. And now we have MRI scanning, brain imaging. So these studies have revealed some anatomical patterns in male and female brains which are consistent with the extreme male brain theory, but the data are not uniformly supported. In one study, researchers even showed that the brains of autistic men and women are structurally more similar than those of typical men and women. So there are a lot of criticisms also to this theory. Some experts, they question the theory's very fundamental assumption that measurable differences exist between men and women in abilities such as social communication, and if any do exist, they are likely to be very small. Say many of the critics of the theory. And another criticism is that the questionnaires used, which are used to test the theory, they included too many questions on the male topics. Okay, so the questions have been revised from time to time, but they are still based on gender stereotypes or a very simplistic concept of gender differences. And those differences may not be relevant to autism traits. That is what majority of the criticism is. And there are also some misunderstandings about the theory. So this theory does not suggest that all autistic women think like men or that autism is tied to the male features. Okay, it only says or it only talks about two categories of cognition: systemizing and the ability to intuit others' emotions. So basically, to sum up, psychologist Simon Baron Cohen, He argues that men tend to be systemizers who attempt to understand the world through the rules by which individual parts interact, while women are better empathizers, who are more able to understand the emotions of others. That is the basically what the theory is trying to say. So the division is not absolute but a general trend. So Baron Cohen has collected evidence that, for example, girls can understand emotions of other people, while boys are more good with spatial information or machines. So people with autism or Asperger's syndrome, they can be severely impaired at understanding how others feel, think, and behave, but they can be much better at understanding systems. Even in those with learning disabilities, this tendency can express itself as a very special interest in something like transport system, you know, or anything which are more dominated by males, like sports statistics or electrical wiring. Okay, while it may appear as a very exceptional ability in mathematics, science, or computers. So Baron Cohen suspects that people with autism may have been exposed to an excess of testosterone before their birth that caused the systematizing tendency to operate at full volume with empathizing barely present. According to Baron Cohen, this might also explain why autism and its variants are much more common in males. So, autism basically it is an exaggeration of certain male typical traits like systematizing, a tendency to try to understand things by their component parts. That is what the theory is trying to say. So to sum up, alternative theories they suggest that autistic brain might have a general difficulty while making sense of the with making sense of big picture, or that the process of coordinating different mental functions may not be operating smoothly. And the diagnosis of autism and Asperger's syndrome involves social impairment, communication difficulties, and repetitive behaviors. And and there is now very good evidence that these difficulties are not caused by the same things. So the whole picture is likely to be more complex than just systematizing. Thank you so much for listening to this video, and I'll be back with more interesting videos in psychology. Thank you.